Well, the phone, this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
talks to the phone all the time, so it's on internet time. Which is now the de facto.
Hey, guys.
Good evening, we're at the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. It's May 17th, 2018, at 7:15 PM. If you're not here, I sure hope you're at Third Thursday over at Fay Park. We're in room 103, 37 Shattuck Street. It's 7:15 PM, and we will start with administrative matters. We have 4 sets of minutes, and we've been asked to review them and vote on them tonight. And I will start with the earliest, which is the October set of minutes. Does anyone have any comments to the October set?
There's some grammar stuff which I'm not going to go into, but the one concern I had is in the third paragraph. This is the one about building the new house in an existing lot, and it says, any of the one-story, in the last sentence, any of the one-story houses can expand upward with approval of the board. I don't know what that means, because they don't need approval to expand upward from our board.
As they do if they are in, it is an expansion of,
Only under certain conditions if it's a pre-existing nonconformity that they're extending, but if in this case, I don't think there were setback issues, it was just,
So let's either rewrite it or change, we can just take it out.
I take it out because it's
Yeah.
just, it's a parenthetical comment about a neighbor's comment.
Yeah, okay, let's just take it out. And then, that was okay on that hearing?
Yeah.
And then, Jillian, you were here, did you get to read those minutes?
I did.
Were you okay with them? Because they're quoting you. And then Rod, with the motion, they quoted you, okay?
So I have one comment.
Yeah?
Keep spelling my name wrong.
I know, I have it circled on every set of minutes. Look it, I did it. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I will have her fix that. So I'll take a motion to, I need a 5th voting member. Jillian, why not you, since you were in them? So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of October 5th as amended.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, they're approved. How about December?
The other thing I have on the second page, which is talking about the rents, you want to put dollar signs in front of the numbers.
And second
So when I
page,
wasn't there.
talking about the
Middle of that
rents.
first paragraph.
I got it. I will send these to her as amended. I will ask, let's see, who is did we have a, John, you actually voted on these, so why don't you be the voting member for approval?
Okay.
I'll take a motion.
I so moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. The minutes of December 21, 17 are approved as amended. And that was, just lost the dollar signs. Okay, I think we can move to March real quickly.
have changes in March.
Actually, I have a lot of changes in March, and I have a lot of changes in April, so instead, I think I'll give it 1 minute. We'll see if there's anything,
I have changes in April, too.
yeah, and they're going to be longer than a minute, so let's take the 7:20, then we'll have time to kill before 7:30. Is there anybody who has anything newsworthy about around town? Congratulations to the new prevailing candidates, Board of Health, Planning Board, and Select Body, Housing Authority. Do we have anybody else uncontested?
There was one that didn't have a nominee.
That was Housing Authority, and she said
Who
Matt-
got written in?
Peggy Larson.
Peggy Larson.
We got it right in with 63 votes. Go Peggy.
She's right down the street here with the flowers.
What was the overall vote turnout?
14%.
900 people, what was it?
So that's like
Not even
almost
900
half.
people. I thought it was like,
It's like half of what it would have been if there was a
It was
lot
a
of,
crummy day.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad
It was
one.
gross out.
And there was nothing controversial,
That's,
you know?
yeah, that's what I'm saying, if there's
A real
something controversial,
contested, yeah.
yeah.
well, the selectmen were fairly contested.
Selectmen and Board of Health, too. 3 for 2, but
And what was the town
that's it.
meeting like? What was the turnout for town meeting?
We got Robinson Road approved.
And Pierre
And
has
Cheryl
the
did a
sign.
marvelous job on Robinson Road. People who heard you were raving
Oh,
about
let's
you
talk
driving
about that.
home.
Let's talk about that a little bit. The Furbecks came, that property had come before this board.
Did he not purchase it?
The gentleman who
He
did,
didn't show up to the closing.
well, no,
followed through with it.
he claimed he couldn't get financing according to what the Furbecks told me, but whatever.
He just disappeared into the night.
Okay, so but he came back. Did you know that?
I didn't.
He did come back. But anyways, so that property had come before this board, and in coming before this board, we had granted a variance, the accessory bylaw hadn't kicked in yet. We granted basically what was following the accessory bylaw ahead of the accessory bylaw kicking in. And I sat on that decision and that meeting. So when they came to me to sell the house, it became, was it a conflict of interest? Did I have prior knowledge of this house? Would it be a problem? So I ended up calling the ethics board, the state ethics board, and talking to them and explaining the situation and having her explain in great detail to me, because I kept arguing with her. I thought it was a problem, and she kept saying no, and then she kept asking me really interesting, what appeared to be very stupid questions about whether or not I had chased them prior to the meeting, or had conversations with them about selling it prior to the meeting. Had I, after the meeting, gone up to them and said to them, hey, I got you the bylaw, give me this now, and that kind of thing. And I hadn't done any of that, obviously. So when she said all I had to do was file a form, what's that form called?
Disclosure form with the selectmen, so that if they were challenged about your position, they would be on notice and they would have known in advance.
So it wasn't a conflict of interest, is my point, and something for people in this board to realize, that just because you have sat on a piece of property in the past, if there's obviously no financial gain for you at that time, and the fact that that happened didn't have financial gain for you now, it didn't apply, and all I had to do was fill out the form.
What is the plans now for that property?
Oh, it's wonderful. They walked me through that house. That house, have you been through it yet?
No.
Oh, you gotta go.
So end of
It's-
7:20, can we
it's-
pick this up either
Yeah.
at the
But
end of
it's largely
7:20 or at
original.
the end?
It's not, hasn't been.
And it's in really good
Okay.
shape. For its age.
7:20 PM. I just need to ask the board's pleasure on how to deal with this. This is listed tonight as a continued hearing because it was opened a month ago, and the applicant had requested a continuance. So I'm going to open it again now, 7:20 PM. We're opening the continued hearing of case number 893A. The petitioner ENI 25 King Street LLC requests for a special permit and/or variance pursuant to Section 17326A, commercial uses, restaurant footnote 4, for a proposed drive-through window as an accessory use to the existing convenience store Dunkin' Donuts at 25 King Street. Then we received a letter from Attorney Gallant. Is that you?
It is. Hi.
How do you do? Received a letter from Attorney Gallant asking for a second and subsequent continuance. And I felt it's always been this board's position that when people ask for a continuance, they should send somebody to come before the board, just in case the board as a whole has any objection to continuing. I unilaterally gave the first continuance without charge because, without requiring them to come before the board, because we got plenty of advance notice, and this board voted, as long as Mr. Gallant signed paperwork agreeing to extend the timelines for us, they were good with that. But I didn't feel that I should give a second continuance without the board weighing in. So we're opened. This is Attorney Gallant, and just for the record, I'll state that as colleagues, we know one another and actually had some dealings on this property, but
Yes.
not for the applicant. I have nothing to do with the applicant, nor do I have any financial interest in this matter.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm John Gallant from Gallant and Urban in Chelmsford. I do represent the applicant, the owner of the property, who's requesting this relief. We are requesting a continuance of the hearing to your next available hearing. We're more than happy to sign an extension regarding your the requirements for opening the hearing and your requirements for a decision. We put that in our request for continuance. The owner of the property is not available tonight. He's out of state. The proposed designer and engineer is also out of state tonight, so neither one of them could be here tonight. I was out of the country for the first hearing, so I couldn't be here for the first time, which is why we're requesting the continuance. In addition, once the designer is coming back, we're going to respond to some of the comments that the town, different boards make, so we will have some revised documents to send to you for next time. So we think it'd be more beneficial to everybody if we have the opportunity to do that, and everybody that is involved in the project can be here next time for any questions.
And procedurally, before my board reacts, I have a couple of things I need to say. One is that your letter says you're agreeing to a postponement of the decision for 100 days from the opening, and we have opened. So I need that to be an extension to the decision being made, I think 65 or 75 days after we close the hearing.
That's fine.
Just so.
Whatever
just
the
so
board's
that's
needs for
covered, and I'll
time,
need
we
you
have
to
no,
sign that.
we're more than happy to give you enough time to consider the whole application from the time we first have our hearing, which we haven't really had yet, so.
And the second reason I really wanted you here is because the last time when we did open, we had a room full of concerned abutters, and they have dwindled away because of the passage of time. And I felt that this board may wish to request that another mail notice go to the abutters.
Absolutely.
So that they're aware, because I thought maybe they would come back again and be sort of discouraged by two appearances on their part and none on your part. So I wanted you here for that reason. Do I have abutters for 25 King Street tonight? Yes, see, there are some who are still here again, and I thought I might have them. And I felt that since they were inconvenienced, that you should be a little inconvenienced on your side.
I don't have a problem with that at
There
all.
was a whole room full.
Yeah, so I think they should be noticed again, because I think that with the passage of time, people get busy and forget, and I'm concerned maybe that we go into summer vacations. Would you mind?
I have a check for the previous publication, so I don't know who to give that
I'll
to.
take that because the admin's not here, but
But
more than publication, though,
Well-
I think they should get
Want me
mail
to give the
notice.
notice, or do you want to
second
give
time.
that?
I'd like you to give the notice if you don't mind. We've given it formally the way we have to, but I'm asking you to give a courtesy notice.
But I would also like to caution the applicant, that is my opinion, given the nature of this request, that should you ask for another extension, that you're going to have to give another notice.
Oh, we
So if you
understand
can't
that.
be here next month, tell us now, and we'll extend past that. Don't keep stringing us along month after month after month, because we're volunteers and we're showing up and we're giving up our time with our families to be here. So a little consideration is important. Plus, we have abutters that are giving up their time and energy and efforts and their time with their families to be here.
Sure.
So if you're
I
going to
understand.
keep extending each time, we're going to make you give notice, or at least that would be my request.
So Tom, just to be clear, let me know what you'd like me to do for notice. I have a list of abutters. I can send them all a certified letter or a regular letter. What's
I
your
think it needs
preference?
to be
Let me
certified.
ask the abutters who are here what you think would be the best. Do you think a postcard or a letter or a certified letter? I'm talking about the abutters who didn't come. What would you think would get to them the best way?
It's more expensive for him to have to send a certified.
Letter answer.
Well, postcards went out and people came, and then we all went home, and I just saved my original postcard. But maybe a letter, something more formal than just a card, is necessary.
So my only fear is that people don't always pick up certifieds. They think it's bad news, so I'm afraid of that. And I think a letter is a good idea, but I thought a postcard gets your attention more because you're used to seeing the postcard
But you also see what it is right away when you look at it.
on a postcard.
On a postcard.
Yeah, that's why I liked the postcard idea.
Well, I do too, but I think a more formal presentation to the abutters now might convey a little bit more weight and seriousness.
I'm hearing that,
It doesn't matter,
would
whichever
like
way you
a letter.
prefer. I would say just a letter, probably from my office. I agree with you that if I send a certified letter, a lot of people aren't going to pick it up from the post office. More than happy to do it, but I think most, my
Can
experience.
imagine
Would you
not
mind-
picking up a
would
certified
you
letter.
mind sending a letter
happens
from
a lot.
your
Can you imagine not
office
picking up a
Yeah.
certified?
and reimbursing our office for another postcard notice?
Okay, no
Because
problem.
that way, if they're afraid to open a letter from a lawyer, which I frequently don't do for weeks, and I'm in the business, then at least the
That's why I like-
postcard from the
That's why I
ZBA.
like the postcards, because it takes 2 seconds to turn it over and see what's about.
And you know it's
A
good
letter,
news or
you
bad, right?
just- From a lawyer.
So let's do both, all right? And I'll ask
Not a problem, just have the
the admin.
advert tell me what it is, and I'll either
Thank
send a
you.
check in beforehand, or
Thank you
I'll
very
bring it
much.
with me next time.
Okay, and the other thing is, this board has the option of not granting the continuance, so it's up to you. I think it's, in fairness, we haven't heard anything yet, so we should probably grant
That would
it.
just be reissuing the public notice in the paper.
No, I don't think a new public notice is necessary. I think the
Because we know
abutters, yeah, the abutters should know, though.
I think a new public notice is necessary, because a lot of the people that showed up at the first meeting weren't necessarily abutters, but concerned town members.
So I wonder if that's the case, to make that happen, we should, they should withdraw without prejudice and reapply.
No, we can just ask him to consent to the republication and paying for it. We'll just have Shelley do it.
Okay, because we don't really have a requirement to do, but then we don't have a requirement for the postcards.
Or the continuance.
Or the continuance.
So Mr. Gallant is more than agreeable, I'm sure.
And more than agreeable, if you'd like to republish, that's fine. The only concern I would have is that they have enough time to see the publication and then come to the meeting. But
Well, we don't
Well, the
have a
meeting is a month away.
would you you
The
would
meeting's
publish
a
and
month
send the
away.
postcard?
We'll publish and send the postcards, but you'll pay for it.
Okay, that's fine.
And since it's already been published 2 weeks before and that kind of thing, that probably doesn't apply for this, the original publication.
Yeah, I don't think we need 2 successive weeks. I think we can do one.
Okay.
So I just have a quick question, because I don't see what it looks like when it goes out. I know when I was reading the email that came over to us, or the letter that came over to us, it took me a couple of understanding, and then all of a sudden I realized when it said town meeting, it was actually a ZBA meeting.
Oh, yeah, that was a mistake in your notice. You-
The letter said town
Yes,
meeting?
and someone's called it to our
Yeah, I
attention
just wanted to make
twice.
sure it was clarified that it was not a town meeting, it was a
It's a
zoning board
ZBA.
meeting.
Yeah, zoning
Yeah,
board
I see
meeting,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Didn't even
that
notice
was
that.
June 14th, Peter.
What is the next hearing date? Is not
It's
June
the
14th,
third-
not the date?
It's always the 3rd Thursday, so our next hearing will be,
The 21st.
somebody got it faster than me? Yeah, June 21st.
Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like I need a motion to grant the continuance to June 21st at, let's make it the first thing for the convenience of the people that come out at night, 7:20. And that is on condition that Mr. Gallant give us another letter extending the timelines for the decision.
65 days from the close of the public hearing?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That he,
Why are we not doing it 2 successive weeks in the newspaper?
We've already done that, we're just continuing the hearing, so we probably, it's more of a service rather than a requirement to impose.
I
I know,
will,
but the idea is to get the word out there as much as possible, because this room was full, and we wasted a whole bunch of people's
Yeah,
time.
I have
I
no
will
problem
let
with 2 weeks, I'm just saying the legal requirement is probably not there.
But I'd like it to be 2 weeks again, since someone misses it in the news 1 week, they get it the next.
I'd like to suggest that if we have another hearing scheduled and we're publishing anyway, we do the 2 weeks, but if it's an extra job for our office staff, that 1 week should be enough. That's what I'd like to suggest.
It's just an extra cost.
Well, it's just an extra job. Somebody's got to watch the timelines and get it in. If we have another hearing anyway, they're going to be watching the timelines and getting it in. So I think 1 week is adequate, but
I'd like to see 2.
anyone else?
I'm assuming there'll be another hearing, so we would be doing 2 weeks anyway.
All right. So the motion I want to hear then is on condition that he sign the extension, that he pay for our office to publish and postcard to abutters, publish 2 successive weeks, send postcards to abutters, and that his office will also send letters to the abutter list, notifying them of the continued hearing.
A letter.
So moved.
Thank you.
And the date certain is,
Sorry, June 21, we said at 7:20 PM.
The second.
Thank you for your attention.
And I'm sorry,
Oh, I forgot that part. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
we can't,
Aye, did I pick a vote?
you didn't pick anybody.
Who's sure they're going to be here next
thank
week?
you.
Next month?
Pretty sure.
I'm kidding.
21st I'll be here.
Okay, and just one quick question. When you get information from
I'm
the
on
boards,
board
and
anyway.
questions and so on, we can get copies of those before the...
What?
before
Oh,
the-
you guys didn't get copies of that?
No, I didn't see anything.
Do you have, yeah, they came in last, what
Yeah, I
came
can
in
make
so
copies for the
far was
board.
in last month's package. I'll ask Shelley to send it around again. So
Sure, I can
all
make a
in-
copy if you need
All in
to.
favor of the motion is seconded, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. It carries.
Thank you. Seen them all.
Publish.
Oldest granddaughter.
Post.
Should be 17.
Cards.
2 weeks.
So you walk on water,
Extension.
and her mother is in the dirt.
She's fabulous.
And 7:20, 6:21. Okay. Well, we are surprised at the time, we are moving right along. So, I'm going to open the public, 7:30 PM, public hearing of case number 895A of Joseph Tran, a request for a variance or a special permit pursuant to section 17331 for a reduced front setback for a proposed front entry at 46 Russell Street. Mr. Tran, have a seat, be comfortable. The way the board works is that you make your presentation. If the board members have any questions, they'll ask you questions.
Yes, ma'am.
When that's done, if there's anyone in the room, we'll ask them, and we'll
Yes.
read the building inspector comments, and then we'll make a decision.
Good afternoon, sir, ma'am, because I was in the service, so I have to call sir, ma'am. I apologize
fine.
for that. I bought my first house in Littleton on the Russell Street, and then I hired a contractor, the roof, general contractor, to do my roof because I cannot do anything, and I'm a disabled vet. And they fixed the front entry, so before it's dirty and rotten, so I hired them to fix the roof, and they pulled a permit, and I don't know anything about permit. So this is my first house to raise my kid after I get out from the service in Iraq. And the roof kind of extend a little bit outside, so I can, rain or snow, they can cover my head. And that's what I intend to do, to look nice on the house and the neighbor look nice that's my intention, and raise my kid because the school right in front of my house. I have very young kid, 8, 6, and 3. And
Busy.
Yes, ma'am, because I work and I have to take care of them because my mom, my mom and my dad and my wife's also a veteran in the U.S. And
Thank
we
you
bought
for
a
your
house, and hopefully we can live in there. And I hope your board can approve me to get the permit right and don't have to take down the roofs above my head, so I can open the door if it's snow, so I can live in there and raise my kid. That's all my intention is, and hopefully you can approve it.
Madam Chair, may I ask some questions?
One moment, I just want to say that the whole board thanks you for your service,
Thank you, ma'am.
and we appreciate any veterans who have served our country. Yes, you may.
I went by your house. It's beautiful.
Thank you,
You've done a
ma'am.
beautiful job of renovating it. and
Yes, ma'am.
You're talking about the little roof that's
Yeah, the
currently
small-
present.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that was put there in violation of the permit that you have? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
there's a little bit offset, the stair, the stair
It's
that you
it's just
go.
over the landing?
Yes, over the landing, a little bit like 2 inches or 3 inches, ma'am.
Well, it's a little
Or-
bit, it's more than that.
Oh, I don't know, because I'm not a contractor, sir.
Oh, did you take these pictures?
No, it came in the thing.
Oh,
Those
okay.
are copies.
Has everyone seen it, driven by it, et cetera?
Yes, ma'am.
It's over the landing,
Yes.
and that's fine. Does anyone have any other questions?
If
Just
not,
this is the photo of what was built that's in question?
Yes, sir,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
great. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it's not just a couple inches, it's the whole thing.
I don't know because I'm not a
So-
contractor,
so
sir.
The house, as before you bought it,
Yes, sir.
was already non-conforming because the staircase, the law, the zoning laws changed in the state.
Yes, sir.
Requiring the setback now, instead of being from the foundation.
Yes, sir.
Being from the furthest thing that sticks out.
Yes, sir.
Including the stairs.
Correct, sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
When the house was built, that zone number was smaller, and so the house actually the house met the requirements for the stairs and the rest of it when it was built.
Yes, sir.
Back in 1953.
Yes, sir.
And so as soon as you modify by putting something out over that staircase,
Sir.
that became too close.
Yes,
So
sir.
just so you know, I'm.
Yes, sir, I respect you, sir.
No, I'm extremely familiar with the house because
Yes,
I
sir.
owned it from 1981 to 1979.
Oh, you own that house, sir?
1979. I put the second floor addition on, I put the family room
Yeah.
addition in the back. I mean,
Yes,
if I
sir.
do it, I actually built it myself.
Thank
need
you
to
very
bla-
much.
You need to blame them.
I don't know, I didn't blame
Does that mean
everybody,
you should
sir.
recuse yourself?
No, we already had that
No
discussion.
conflict.
No, I have to
So
say
I know
thank
the
you,
house.
sir. Thank you,
I've
sir.
raised 2 kids in there and a couple dogs and a cat. And, so I know, and I only moved about a mile away from there. 'cause
Yeah,
my
yes,
wife
sir.
fell
I
sick.
have to say thank you very much for your kind bill for the house. And I appreciate your efforts, sir, even though I'm a new owner, but I have to say thank you.
Oh, I love that house.
Thank you, sir.
I was happy.
It looked very nice, and then I hope I can raise my 3 kids in there, sir. And,
So the issue here, I noticed reading the building officials' notes, was that he was concerned about work that had been done beforehand, and I guess that's between you and the building department.
Yes, sir.
The only thing that we care about, I believe, is that portico that
Setback.
sticks out over the front.
Yes.
And I didn't appoint a voting member. I think I'm going to appoint Kitty for that because I didn't give you a lot to do the last one. And John, because of your history with it, I'd rather not. But I would ask you to read the building inspector comments into the record, please.
Okay. The applicant seeks a variance to encroach onto the required front setback of 30 feet from the street property line. Specifically, the applicant wishes to construct a canopy roof over the existing steps. Existing house and steps are presently legal, pre-existing non-conforming as is less than the required 30 feet. Front steps at the time of construction were in compliance with Littleton zoning bylaws, as said bylaws referenced the Massachusetts State Building Code in effect at the time for permissible encroachments. Permissible encroachments in the Mass State Building Code discontinued on or about 2007, and as such, the steps are presently legally pre-existing non-conforming. The present canopy, along with other recent construction work, is issued as a cease and desist for construction without permits. The permit was issued on 2/16 for the complete removal of the front canopy, complete removal of the rear deck, and miscellaneous interior renovations. No further comment.
I have an issue with the building inspector's interpretation. The stairs are there, they're non-conforming. This cupola is not adding to that non-conformance.
cupola,
It's
but okay.
the what?
It's not a cupola.
Or whatever it is, I mean, the
Porch.
overhang.
It's a porch, yeah.
It is not
Portico.
increasing the non-conformance, it's actually inside
Mm-hmm.
the setback of the steps. So why
We-
are we even here?
Because, Rod, we've always taken the stance that even when you raise the height of a non-conforming wall, that's increasing the area of non-conformity.
I think
This is
the,
inside
I think
the
the
step.
issue is that the steps uncovered are not the issue. It's once you cover them, they become part of
Yeah.
the structure of the house.
I mean, I have no problem with this, I think
Yeah.
it's silly that the building inspector stopped it, but I just don't, I think you misinterpreted it.
Right,
It's not
I agree with-
adding to the non-conformity. If they covered all the way to the bottom of the steps, I would say yes, then it's adding to the non-conformity. But it's inside the extent of the steps.
Yeah, but if you'd put a 2-story addition on over those steps.
I agree with
Over the
Rod.
steps, but not the porch.
No, I agree
Not the stoop.
with Rod. I think that the case that caused us to change that bylaw says exactly what you're saying. That if it's a pre-existing non-conforming and you are not creating more lineal of it or more forward, then I think Rod is right, that it should be allowed as of right. I know we used to decide that more height was more non-conformity, but the case law changed that.
But even if.
But
if
we
it was
still
at
have
the
to,
end of
we
the
still have
steps,
decided
I
that,
would
and we can still decide that the height does change it. I mean, I have no problem with this at all. In fact, I think it looks charming, and I think it does what it should do, and it's perfectly fine, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
And we should close the hearing for this poor gentleman. I make a
Yeah.
motion, we close the hearing.
I agree.
thank you, sir.
Second,
Second.
Thank you,
all those in
Mr. Chair.
favor of closing the hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody want to discuss or vote it?
Yeah,
Make a motion?
To cover the applicant, it probably makes sense to grant the variance, but I think we should say in there that we don't really feel that it was needed. But, you know, we don't want
Okay,
the
I'm going-
applicant to have to go around and around.
I would rather that, if Roden has doubts, I'd rather he send them to us than not. I really would.
But he issued a cease and desist, that's the thing.
No, but it was because there was work being performed without a permit
Oh,
whatsoever.
oh, it wasn't-
Much more
it wasn't-
significant.
So
It
there's
was
two
in this.
issues here.
Okay.
So then I mean, I think you need, legally, you should have a variance because it protects you,
Yeah,
down
you
the
should.
road. And I have
Maybe-
no problem. I have no problem with how, but except for how should we describe this? Because there's no specific measurement, but we could describe it in a way that references this photo. We could describe it in a way that, a porch that covers the.
May I stand because I get hurt on my back.
Oh,
No
you-
problem.
sorry,
No problem. Please be
sorry.
comfortable. we could describe it in a way that, references this plot plan, and, that, to me, is the only issue, is how we describe this.
I think if you just reference the photo that's in the, as-built, according to the photo as of whatever date the photo was made.
Is that called a portico?
It's a portico.
John, so let's vote it as a portico over the front steps.
It's not over all the front steps,
Over the
or
existing-
front
over the
landing.
existing
portico over the landing.
Yeah, landing is a better term,
Yeah.
Existing.
Portico over
house I
the
have
front
now.
landing.
That's a big portico.
You have a huge
I
portico.
have a huge portico.
I have a huge enclosed portico.
Okay, so motion to grant, I'm going to entertain your motion, Jeff, to grant a variance.
Yes, I move that we grant a variance to Mr. Tran of 46 Russell Street to put a portico over his existing landing at his front door. And that portico is described in the in the submission and on the certified plot plan dated January 30th, 2018.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Sir?
Wait, did you want to ask something? We're not done yet.
No, I
Okay.
just say thank you for the
Yeah.
comment.
Oh,
Oh,
sure. Well,
okay,
I
and
think
so
we're
I
all
need a
embarrassed to
second.
I'll
get to
second.
hear about this.
Jeff, and second is Cheryl. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank
You're all
you.
set on the portico.
Thank you, Mr. John.
You're
Thank you for your building house. I
One thing I wouldn't.
Thank your
see in the
family,
building
please.
inspector's comments, he usually just describes the
May
situation.
I ask
and
you
that's
a
it.
question?
Yes,
It's
please.
facts.
They told me to send a check, $60.
Oh, I'll take it here, yep.
I
thank you.
apologize.
That's okay. That's to, you brought it?
Yes.
Very
yes, ma'am.
good.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Enjoy.
Sherry, I don't know if you.
Roland's a nice man, just do what he says.
Ask Roland to put whether it's a variance or a special permit.
No, he just describes what the case is. He never recommends, I would recommend denying it or approving
Sometimes he
it or
does.
He
something.
does
Yeah.
sometimes recommend.
Very rarely. He avoids
Stating
it.
the facts we already
Well,
know.
but this was the case where it's just crossing the, dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
When he doesn't give a recommendation, that's a clear signal that he trusts the board to do the right thing. Seriously. And when he gives a recommendation, he has strong feelings about it, and we have to decide if we're going to go against his strong interpretation of the bylaw. It's very simple.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, but
Can I ask a question though, just
Yes.
in general on it? So if you have a set of stairs and you decide that you want to replace them, as long as they're still within non-conform, it doesn't matter if it's new or old, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just replace as.
But
is.
I am going to ask the Citizens Collaborative and the people that run the seminars to give us a little synopsis of when we go for special permit, when we go for variance, and when the variance, when additional nonconformities cause us to go over the special permit line for change, extension, and alteration and into a variance line. Because I think there's been a lot of confusion since that case law on all of our parts, mine included.
But it's also a function of this consideration of any it used to be the foundation, like you'd show the foundation of a plot plan, and now technically the plot plan should have the overhangs and the this and the that. And it's very confusing because no one's up there measuring that it's 8.5 inches or 12.5 inches. But
Because you could have a 2-foot
technically-
overhang on a house.
And for new houses, like I know in Concord, when I'm involved in them, we have to document the overhangs, and they can't extend into the setback. So it's not a good situation for anyone.
And I can certainly see the building being, inside the setback. But the stairs, I don't think the stairs.
Well, uncovered stairs, I'm not sure they're included.
Okay,
Oh, I think they
so
are.
if I
Yeah, if they're
can,
attached to the house, I thought they were.
Uncovered stairs are included in the setback.
Yeah, well,
So
the
if I-
covered stairs, now you're looking at the covered as a setback, not
But the stairs themselves, because we had one earlier, a few months back, where it was the stairs that were marked as being too close. to
Well,
the
that
property.
was, yeah, that was in the lake, yeah, that was,
Yeah.
but those stairs were almost on the street, as I recall.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but they're still,
Yeah.
they're,
if I could get the board to race through 2 more sets of minutes, we'll be all caught up. Okay, March 8th. Anybody have any comments? If not, I'll read you mine. 4 lines up from the bottom on page 1, on the right-hand side, it says is for 2 bedrooms, comma, 1 for the Smiths apostrophe father, and another for a caretaker.
I want to, in the last paragraph, it says, "The apartment as proposed is for 2 bedrooms in the," I want to be clear, in the basement, because that was sort of a key feature of this proposal.
Okay, thank you.
It wasn't really a basement, though.
Well, it was a basement. I mean, it was exposed, but on one end, but it was a basement.
It was,
3 ends, I think.
In the basement addition, let's say, because that was in the addition part,
Three
right?
sides.
Three sides, no more than 2 sides.
No, the back you could get.
No,
Yeah.
you're right, but however,
Three
from the
sides are
front, it
open.
was
Yeah.
not
No,
visible.
only 2.
Yeah, it was the
front and one
front
side wasn't. One
side
side
and
was
the
against the
back was
house.
pretty
So
exposed
that's not
too.
open,
How
and
about
the
if
front
we,
wasn't open.
how about if we say in the first floor?
No, it's not the first
That's
floor.
right, it's the basement.
I think it's the basement. I think the
Basement, okay.
common usage is the basement. If I'm a real estate
Attached to
person,
another building
I
that
would
has a
call
basement,
it
it's
the
the same level.
ground
Yeah, but the
floor.
way that the way the
I would
grade
call it the
cut.
ground floor, because quite frankly, yes, it was behind the house, but it was only not exposed on the side where it was attached to the house.
Right.
That side of the house, it was exposed, this side of the house was exposed, and that side of the house, it was exposed.
The front wasn't.
How
Yeah.
about?
Because it was attached to the
No,
back of
no,
the
the
house.
front, the house attached by the side to the house. The front was facing the street, it was totally buried.
It's the classic walkout basement situation.
This-
We call them walkout
It's a
basements.
walkout basement.
Mrs. Smith stated the proposed addition is for expanding the home on the main level and an accessory apartment on the lower level, so let's
Okay.
be consistent and use lower level,
Okay, that's good.
in the lower level
Yeah.
addition, of the addition. Is that all
That's what
right?
it says.
Yeah, I didn't, that's good eye on that one.
Okay, thank you. Go on to the next page, please. First full paragraph, last line, special permit for, it should say an apartment, not D. I'm not going to tell you
I
the
want to back up,
the language changes.
6th line down, it says Cheryl Kelly thinks this is duplicitous. Cheryl Collinger stated that would be duplicitous.
Sixth line down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Instead of thinks that
Stated.
that would be duplicitous.
Okay. And I'm just not going to do the grammatical corrections. Let's go on to, speaking as an abutter, I commented, start that paragraph that says Cheryl Gould commented, speaking as an abutter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I think was said or intended. That the intent of the bylaw is that a new addition for strictly an accessory apartment can't exceed more than 15%.
Of the existing,
House.
Of the existing.
Structure.
Of the existing structure.
But in an existing dwelling, no, I don't want to say of the existing structure, because if it's strictly new construction for an accessory, it can't exceed 15%. But in an.
15% of what, though?
But in an existing dwelling, the 40% rule was intended. That bylaw says, if you're building new just for an accessory, you can't build bigger than 15%.
Or if you're adding on for,
of the home.
for an accessory, you can take part of your house and add 15% for an accessory, and make part of your house and the 15% the accessory.
No, that bylaw says if you're making part of your existing house the accessory,
You're 40%.
You
goes
can
to
be
the
up to 40%.
rule. So
But
that's
if you're
what I want
putting
to
an
get here.
addition on your house for an
Right.
accessory, it can't be more than 15%
Yeah,
of
that's
the
what I'm trying to
existing
say.
house.
No, they're not of the existing house, it's the total house plus the
Yeah,
addition.
that was the big.
Because that was.
It doesn't matter. if it's-
Depends on how you read it, and I gotta tell you.
But
It doesn't
Roland
matter.
did, she sent us a note that Roland looked at it
It
after they
doesn't
came up
matter
with.
in the minutes. The minutes
Oh,
are
yes, that's true.
reflecting what we said at that moment in time.
Okay.
And at that moment in time, we did not say of the existing anything. What I said was, a new addition for strictly an accessory apartment could not exceed 15%, but in an existing dwelling, the 40% rule was intended. Then I said, the board should vote on this tonight pursuant to the plans with a finding that section C1, which is the 15% section, does not apply. Rod Stewart agreed that the board can vote with the finding that in the board's opinion, section C1 doesn't apply, and then the interpretation of the wording needs to be clarified going forward, which is where our discussion went. Julian Shaw asked if the gross floor area number is pre or post-construction, and that's when we had a discussion about whether it was pre or post-construction and how you count it, but we didn't get there yet in this paragraph. So then go on to the next, and it says, the board further discussed how to address the site and future applications for accessory apartments. The board felt it best to vote on a special permit from 17360 with a finding that section C1, 17358C1 does not apply. That's the 15% rule. And then a motion was made by, I want to close the hearing. So then the board, a motion was made by Show to grant a special permit pursuant to 17360 to build an addition, part of which is an accessory apartment, substantially as presented on the plans, blah, 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 with the finding that this is an addition to the house with an accessory dwelling in it. Oh, it doesn't apply, because this is an addition to the house with an accessory dwelling in it. And that's where we ended up with that. And the rationale was, we said, that if they just built this addition first and came back in and put the accessory in later, they'd be at the 40% rule. And so that's how the board came down on that decision. And I think it was the right decision, and then we talked to the planning board about modifying it going forward.
Which, I mean, I had just big like brackets because this whole discussion was, I mean, this whole bylaw is problematic, but basically, we just kept on saying, we want more housing, we want more housing. That seemed to be the direction that we were given as a board, which isn't a direction. I mean,
Well, so just keep going on, because then
If we want
it
that, we might as
says,
well just put apartment buildings everywhere.
then it says the accessory
5-6
apartment
stories.
bylaw discussion
And
was
stories.
had.
New fire truck.
And it says there's a
Not that.
discrepancy because
getting
the
more.
accessory apartment is supposed to be 40%, but an accessory structure under another section of our bylaw is supposed to be 30%. And then we said there's a conflict in the 15%. And we said,
Stupid bylaw.
we replied that the board doesn't want to be the ones interpreting what the planning board intended. We want a modification to clarify the discrepancy. And that's where we left it at that meeting. And then if we go to the next meeting in April, there's a discussion that we were, I'm sorry, I'm on the last paragraph of the March meeting that says, the wording needs to be corrected. This allows too much discretion to the planning board as written. It is difficult to know what qualifies, not what is enforceable. Because Roland can enforce anything, but I think the applicants don't know what qualifies and don't know what to bring in. So then, the next meeting, we talked about, and I think in April, you have to go to,
Okay, wait a minute, stop. Talk
Yeah.
about April. She left me off. I was here.
Well, I'm going, where are you at?
well, when I read through this, I saw that after this meeting, we said, we were going to ask Roland to attend our next meeting to work up some thoughts and directions that we had. And then there's something else in here that says that Roland did produce something and Shelley was supposed to bring it to us. So I want to see what was produced by Roland at our next meeting, was the point I was making.
I don't think we got it.
These are, we didn't get it yet. So these are just minutes describing what confusion we all had over the thing. And I think they reflect accurately what confusion we had. And I'd like to vote them with the changes that I said, not try to resolve it, because there was no resolution. And so March minutes, changed as suggested, I would like to take a motion to approve those.
I have one comment about the second paragraph on the discussion. Board members commented that the addition size allowing 15% is...
Second paragraph where?
Second paragraph under the discussion part of this.
Where's
It's-
that? Continued discussion? Oh, discussion here.
Discussion accessory apartment
It's the
bylaw.
short one in
And it's just a single sentence. It says, commented that the addition size allowing 15% is restrictive. Is that on pre or post-construction? Peter Scott stated it should be post-construction, Chair Gold agreed. Well, but that doesn't necessarily what the bylaw says.
It's not. It's
And
definitely
I
what
think
the-
that's
not what the
another
bylaw says.
problem. I
And it's
mean-
not it's not just what the planning board wants, it's what our town voted on. And it's.
Exactly.
And it's what our town voted on, and our planning board should be doing what our town voted on, not what they loosely want to interpret from what they got the town to vote on.
One of the problems is that the language in the bylaw doesn't doesn't enlighten anyone, not even the voters in this town, as to what was intended in the bylaw, and that's where it needs the modification. I would suggest in response to your comment, we take that sentence out completely. Board members' comment. that-
I think we
let's just
should,
take it
because
out.
I
It
think
looks like a
someone could
decision.
come to us and say, well, you said
Yes.
this,
Right.
and it's not.
It's not what we meant or were
Okay.
trying to say.
Now I'll take a motion, and let me, voting member Jillian, why don't you do this one?
She's avoiding you tonight.
Vote
That's
to-
fine.
Vote to,
My name's spelled wrong, but I care.
So you're not really.
I'm not
It's
really-
spelled right.
There's somebody else.
I was here.
Yeah.
It's the other guy as well.
I'll take a motion to
felt
approve
right
the
there.
March
I know.
minutes as amended.
So moved.
Actually,
second.
It's pronounced.
All in favor?
I know.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, starting the April
Julian, I
minutes,
didn't
she
hear
left
Aye,
me
sorry.
off.
Okay, you were
came
here.
in
I
late,
wasn't here.
remember,
I was there.
Yeah, I just
I
think,
voted later.
I know, but you came in late, you were in the very beginning, that's why.
Put you in.
But you wrote down the names, everybody was here at 7, you weren't here, so.
Well, the meeting doesn't start till 7:15.
Yeah, you still got here at 7:20.
And this guy Seawall was there, too.
This guy Seawall was there. Wow.
He keeps showing up.
Who is he
I
again?
wish
he
he'd-
is.
I wish he'd pay my
Comments
bills.
on this one?
Yeah.
Again, I've got grammatical changes in a lot of places, but I'll just.
I can't help
I'll
you with
cover those.
grammar.
That's Google.
I don't think I had anything substantive in this one. Anybody else?
Cheryl, Chair Gould asked for questions from the board. Cheryl Hollinger about how many, there's just, that makes no sense. How many square feet house presently is and what would be post-construction? You're going to fix the grammar,
Yeah.
please?
The purpose of these additions, the purpose and.
Because it seems to be the thing that keeps coming in front of us.
Where the purpose were.
This is the purpose.
Yeah, I got that. I got
That's
that.
all.
She left out my thanking him for being so thorough.
Anybody else? Can we make a motion to approve these as amended?
I so move.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I make a motion that we close the hearing, meeting.
Oh, how about John?
What about this one?
Sure.
Did you say all in favor?